We are Gucci. What is up, everybody? It is your host, Alex from JAMSports podcast. I am with.
Ah!
I'm with.
Hello.
I'm with
Yeah.
Jack today. We're gonna go over some. We're gonna go over just grading the. What is it? 2022 NFL draft for the NFC North, and then we'll be talking about some other sports as well. But let's get into the grading the AFC or NFC North quickly, and then we'll get on to some other stuff. So, let's start out with the Packers.
What are the Packers doing? Like, honest question.
I don't know.
Why? You
I
wanna
don't know.
you wanna run through what you thought of their draft, because I think it's clear that I will not be very kind to them.
Yeah, so I graded it a C minus. I didn't think it was like the worst draft out of the division, but it was certainly very bad compared to some of the other drafts. Some of the favorite players I got: Christian Watson, who took a bit to get going, but eventually started playing really well and became Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. And then another person I have, Romeo Dobbs, kind of. He played well. That's about it. And my least favorite was Devontae Wyatt. Didn't play horrible, but definitely didn't play anywhere near good for a first rounder.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts?
I gave them a C plus, but I honestly probably disliked it more than you did. I don't know, my scale's a little different. Both of their first round picks were not good. Quay Walker wasn't horrible, but multiple attitude things on the field, including pushing a trainer, wasn't good enough to be a first round linebacker. Like, linebackers going the way of the running back in the draft. And then Devontae Wyatt just did absolutely nothing all year. They did get a starter in Christian Watson and maybe a starter in Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite pick of theirs was Zach Tom in the fourth round, because he both played a lot and was a really good lineman. The problem is it kind of gets canceled out by the fact that their third round lineman, Sean Ryan, was so ass that he was a healthy scratch even when they had a lot of injuries. And when it was looking like he was probably going to get cut, he just got suspended instead, because that's what all successful rookies do.
Yeah.
But when this is a team that was going through all kinds of injuries and mixing it up a lot, for him to not even be active on game day in his rookie season as a third rounder is kind of not promising. And then everyone after the fourth round, Kingsley Enagbare was okay, but all of their seventh rounders just barely exist.
Yeah, it wasn't. That's all I gotta say is. Let's get to the Bears.
Dope.
So I had the Bears at a B minus. I think they drafted pretty well. Not they still weren't the best drafter, but they had a pretty good draft. Favorite players: Velus Jones Jr. I know he only had 16 total touches. I don't give a damn. He was good for those 14 touches. He just needs to play more. He had 9 rushes, 103 yards, and a touchdown, and 7 receptions for 107 yards and a touchdown. So that's one player I thought was decent.
May I offer you a counterpoint?
Yes.
Everyone was and still is crying about how Fields has 0 weapons. If Velus Jones can't get touches on a team that had to trade for Chase Claypool and DJ Moore, and people are still looking for them to get more weapons, if he's not getting touches there, you would have to think it's a little bit deserved.
Yeah, but he kind of balled out a little bit when he did get touches. So
Okay.
Not you're saying 9 rushes for 103 yards and a touchdown, and 7 receptions for 107 yards and a touchdown. He's averaging over 10 yards per reception and rush.
Yeah, but that's a tiny sample size. I mean,
I
I'm pretty
understand,
sure
but
we'll
what-
have
what
like
happens
fifth round. Pretty sure we have like fifth round tight ends we'll talk about that had, a handful of catches for 100 something yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a default stat line of, yeah, sure, maybe you had a big play here or there, but
Yeah, I mean,
small enough
I
that-
kind of.
what does
I
it
think-
mean?
I think he would be good if they just tried to develop him. I don't know. And then the second one I got is Jaquan Brisker. 1 interception, 2 pass defended, a forced fumble, 4 sacks, 104 tackles, and 5 tackles for loss. I don't know. It just seemed okay. And my least favorite player was Dominique Robinson. He didn't play bad, but just not that good for the amount of snaps he had, which was 550. Thoughts, Jack? On the Bears draft?
So for the most part, the Bears had, 5 picks in rounds 2 through 5, and then 6 in rounds 6 and 7. All of the 6th and 7th rounders were either cut, or they just didn't play, or they were a bad punter. So I'm going to ignore all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Jaquan Brisker, very good. My favorite pick of theirs, alongside Braxton Jones, who in the 5th round, he wasn't some great, amazing lineman, but he played a lot for them, and he was pretty serviceable, if not a bit better than serviceable, over the season. So that was kind of a steal for them. Kyler Gordon was okay. Dominique Robinson was a 5th rounder, so can't hate it too much. My least favorite actually was Velus Jones, because for a 3rd round receiver, a la Danny Gray, you'd think that if he was any good, especially with Danny Gray, at least you have the excuse that he's on a team with tons of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone and their mother knows that the Bears had 0 talent in the receiving room.
Mm-hmm.
So for a 3rd rounder to get basically 0 play time, you would, you kind of got to hold it against them.
Mm-hmm. I do want to see, what was the snap count for that?
This is the team that traded the 32nd overall pick for Chase Claypool. And then
They traded
valued
a first
DJ
rounder
Moore.
for Chase Claypool?
Technically a 2nd rounder because the Dolphins forfeited their pick, but 32nd overall, yes.
That's now. He had 159 snaps and 121 snaps in special teams.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't go all special teams merchant.
I don't see any tackles. He forced 3 fumbles. Got 1 tackle.
I don't think he forced 3 fumbles. I think he had 3
he
fumbles. I know
fumbled
he
3 fumbles.
muffed
Oh,
2
fuck.
punts. They tried
You
to
know
use
what?
him as a returner, and they
You know what?
benched him.
You know what?
I know his
take back-
debut
I
was
take-
against the
nope.
Giants, and he muffed a punt.
I'm gonna admit defeat, and I'm gonna take out fucking Velus Jones. You are ass, bud.
Because I was gonna say, he made his debut against the Giants, and I think muffed a punt that day.
Yeah, all right. I take that back.
It was-
fuck Velus Jones. Jaquan Brisker's the only goddamn good pick in my opinion.
Well, Kyler Gordon was okay.
You know
He's
what?
a
Fuck
corner,
it.
so
I'm
maybe
moving
it'll
this
get
shit
better.
down to a C plus.
See, I had them at a flat B, honestly, because I really like Brisker and Jones or Braxton Jones, to be clear.
I had him at
Kyler Gordon, I'm okay with.
I had him at a B minus, but nah, that pick just pissed me off.
It's worth remembering that they didn't have a 1st rounder, which is part of what bumped them up for me. Is it because they traded it to the Giants? Yes.
Maybe. All right. Vikings.
I
would like to hear.
Go for it.
No, I would like to hear your
Okay.
thing on the Vikings first.
This was, I think, by a wide margin, even though I also gave it a C+, as I did the Packers, because they drafted a lot of players. They had a lot of picks. So at some point, someone's going to have to at least contribute. But the Vikings managed to do about as badly as you could do with this many draft picks. This was by far my least favorite class in this division.
This might be my least favorite class in the entire NFL.
Well, I don't know about that, but it
For me,
certainly is in the running.
For me it is.
Andrew Booth was a pick that I liked if I had to pick one, just because the whole thing with him is that he had the talent to be as good as some of the higher drafted corners, right? But he was coming off injury. And so this wasn't a pick for this season as much as it is for next season and beyond. And I think that even when it doesn't work out in the long term, these kind of picks have always done well for the team at the time. I mean, we'll talk about the Ravens with David Ojabo next week. You know, we've talked about the Miles Jack and Jalen Smith examples in past drafts, right? I think Trey Smith, the guard for the Chiefs, fell to like the 5th round because of injury stuff. And that almost always, like, once you get past that, like the 1st round, and here in the 2nd might even, I think this is kind of the sweet spot actually for him. But you're betting on proven talent and just hoping that he stays healthy. And I think the odds are that he will. But it's not like he really did too much this year to prove that. He was okay, and okay for a 2nd rounder isn't the same as okay for a 3rd or later for me for a lineman, especially for an interior lineman.
Wait, who is this?
Ed Ingram, he was their other 2nd round pick.
Okay.
A lot of their late round picks just like didn't play much. Jalen Naylor has the same thing with Velus Jones, where like he had the opportunity to play a lot more than he played. He played pretty all right when he did, but he had, you know, under 200 yards.
So I will say the Vikings receiver room is definitely way better than the Bears.
Yeah, but they also only had one like legit receiver. It's not like they're the Niners, right? They have Jefferson. Thielen is kind of cooked. KJ Osborne was a pretty good number 3 for them, and he had weeks where he kind of went off, but there is certainly room to earn snaps in that room.
He had 716 yards and 6 touchdowns. How is that cooked?
Thielen? Go watch him.
Yeah.
I mean every single team is double teaming Jefferson, so that's a start.
Yeah, but JJ still going to make that catch, though.
But who wants Adam Thielen this offseason? Vikings got rid of him.
True.
Didn't he go to, like, what was it, the Panthers?
Who?
I'm trying to check. Yeah, Adam Thielen went to the Panthers, but, like, it took a while for him to sign because, like, nobody fucking wanted him.
Interesting.
And, I mean, it's true. He's 32. He wasn't the fastest guy in the first place.
He could be a Julian Edelman of the Patriots system. All right, never mind. Sorry, I was.
But my least favorite picks were their 3rd and 4th rounders, Brian Asamoah and a Caleb Evans, a linebacker and a corner, respectively. I know that I have, you know, done my fair share of talking about the Vikings defense because the Giants played them twice. But it's very clear that they needed a lot of help on defense.
Yep.
At like every position. And they do more so moving forward now that they've had to release a few guys for cap reasons. And both of these guys were cheeks. I mean, Evans was outplayed by multiple people that Minnesota just picked up off the street for free. I know that he's a rookie. But when you have, like, when it's that wide open and you still just can't find a way to do anything, I don't like it.
Interesting.
And also, I didn't mention anything about their 1st rounder because he was hurt all year.
Yep.
Although he's pretty talented, so.
Would you like to hear my grades?
Absolutely, I would.
So,
although I see that they've changed since I started talking.
They have definitely changed. So the Vikings' final grade is a fucking F. Least favorite players is F fucking nobody. And my least favorite player is everyone was shit. The Vikings drafted shit after shit. This is the worst draft class in the NFL. And that's it. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
You know what? Fair.
I did not.
I really like it would look much better for me if like with the Bears, they found an offensive line starter, maybe not like some great player, but a starter in the 5th round. After the 2nd round, the Vikings found nobody. Maybe Naylor can carve out a role for himself now that Thielen is gone.
And the Bears also had Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah, but he was a 2nd rounder. I meant the Vikings had one guy I liked in the early rounds and nobody after that. At least the Bears had someone I liked in the later rounds.
That's true. All right.
Hopefully your best class in the division.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it is.
I don't know how it wouldn't be, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go first because I want to. Favorite players is Aiden Hutchinson. He's the best rookie D lineman. Should have gone number 1. Just saying. And
I'm happy with Thibodeau.
I know you're happy with Thibodeau. But you weren't picking number 1 overall. Okay, you picked like 4 and like 8.
No, I know, but I'm saying that there are arguments to make that like Thibodeau may moving forward be the best one.
He has a higher ceiling, yes.
He also, on a rate basis, was similar, because remember the whole Thad Moss thing, and he missed a few games.
Yes, but I do like Aiden Hutchinson a bit more right now, but I think Tibbs can be better in the future.
I like Tibbs.
Tibbs is cool. But he was the best rookie.
Although, there is someone else in this class that's probably better than both of them as a rookie.
Oh, is this the next person on my list?
Probably.
Next person is James Houston. 8 sacks in 140 fucking snaps. Let me repeat that. 8 sacks in 140 snaps.
You want to know a fun fact about James Houston?
What?
I was talking with Lions fans.
No?
I was talking with Lions fans about like the whole Tibbs versus Hutch debate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is true that because Tibbs missed like a few games and Hutchinson had some better luck where like Thibodeau caused multiple sacks that were credited to other people. Mm-hmm. The same way that Hassan Reddick had that happen a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
So like on a rate basis, Tibbs was at least as good, if not better than Hutchinson. Mm-hmm. As a pass rusher. Mm-hmm. I was talking about this to Lions fans who were like, oh, you're just jealous you don't have Hutch. And I mentioned that part, and they immediately pivoted to, oh, well, we have James Houston, so it doesn't matter. And honestly, yeah. This guy's insane.
Yeah. Bro got 140 snaps and popped out 8 sacks and a forced fumble. What the fuck?
He just showed up like mid-season and decided to be the best in the league.
Bro, I don't understand this.
Again, small sample. But you got to imagine that it may not stay at this high of a rate, but you got to imagine he stays at least like pretty good moving forward.
I just want to check something. So, yeah, never mind. I was going to say he might break Alden Smith's record for most sacks in the first 2 seasons. I take that back. I let it.
I mean, imagine what happens if they had him playing the whole year.
How long was he playing? When did he start?
I mean, you said 140 snaps. I don't remember when he started, but it wasn't.
Alright, hold on. Looking at what he started.
Let's see. He appeared.
Week 1, 2, 3, 12. Oh, no, sorry. Week 11. Week 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
yeah, he only played in 7 games.
That's fucking nuts.
His debut was on Thanksgiving. Think about it that way. And he had at least 1 tackle in all of those games. 3 tackles in a game against the Bears, 2 tackles in 2 sacks, 2 sacks in his debut against the Bills.
He didn't get a sack in Carolina. Didn't get a sack in Green Bay, but he got 3, 1, 1, 1, 2.
Yeah, and the underlying numbers match. It's not like these were all just luck. He was actually good for them.
So, not in taking account in the last game, because he got 0. He averaged 1.3 sacks in 6 games, 1.7, 1.8 tackles, 1.2 tackles for loss, 1.8 QB hits. So in a per 7, what is the sack record?
22.5 over a season.
Cool. So he'd break the single season sack record for 17 games.
Well, yeah, probably. 8 over 7, I don't know, but
no. Well, I'm talking about 8 over 6.
You still would have to count the Packers game because that's later. If it was a game where he played
so
one snap early,
so he'd finish with 19 then.
But still, I mean that is a very good season.
And
how many did Bosa have this year?
27 QB. Yeah, the dude's fucking nuts.
How many sacks did Bosa have this year?
Oh God, Bosa.
Like this isn't me at all trying to like shit on Bosa.
18 and a half.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts. That's scary.
How was he available at the tail end of the 6th round? Like, how did everyone... I know he went to Jackson State, so I know that he wasn't on radars for that reason. But this is one of those, like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I took you off the rails.
No, you're good. Dude's nuts. Least favorite player, Josh Pascal. 2 sacks and almost 300 snaps. Not that bad, but James Houston did better and less snaps.
Yeah. I mean, I gave the class an A overall. I assume you did as well.
Yep. A.
I like Hutch. Kirby Joseph was a really good safety for them, like really good.
Yeah, I was gonna put Kirby Joseph instead of Kirby Joseph was originally the second person I was gonna put favorite players, but then I found James Houston and said fuck Kirby Joseph. I
have 4 because this was a really good draft class.
Oh, I only put like 2 max.
Kirby Joseph, ball hawk, actually just good at all parts of playing safety. Like he's just good. And I don't even know what else to say. Illinois is quickly becoming a DB powerhouse. So they've got a Witherspoon and another safety coming out this year. And then
Jameson Williams has a bright future.
Yeah, I was going to circle back around to him. I like both of their 6th rounders. Obviously, we talked about Houston. Malcolm Rodriguez was like the best rookie linebacker, probably. Mm-hmm. Not really. I think like Devin Lloyd was probably better. Nakobe Dean has the chance to be better. I think there's someone I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but he was certainly up there. And for a 6th rounder, like to not just be playing, but to be legitimately good, come on, that's pretty good. Williams, I didn't really cover him too much just because, he tore his ACL and when he came back, he didn't really have a role in the offense.
Yeah.
Which in his case, I kind of get it because that offense was at an all-world level. Like Ben Johnson schemed it up to a point where like at some point late in a season when this offense is chugging, mm-hmm. He can't really put a square peg in a round hole. Right then. I think that, and he still performed well when he was on the field. I think that if it had gone worse or if he was healthy for longer, I'd have a different outlook. But for right now, I feel like, what's there to say that he won't have a big role next year?
Yeah. Agreed.
But at the same time, you could make the argument, yeah, he came back healthy and he got, outsnapped by DJ Chark. Okay.
Yeah. That is true. Okay, do you have anything else to add?
That's it for me. I mean, I don't think I showed much love to the Bears picking a punter, Trenton Gill.
Can you say that he was
late in the 7th round? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He is ass. He was not a good punter, but For the same reason that I love my fullback picks, I love my punter picks when they're late enough in the draft. Looking at you, Buccaneers. I gotta shout it out, you know? If you got the stones to draft yourself a punter, which I think, even if he's not very good, I am firmly in favor of drafting your special teamers and playing them on rookie contracts. Whether it's a fullback, and there are exceptions. If you have a Justin Tucker, if you have a Kyle Juszczyk, obviously there are exceptions. But for the majority, the same way that theoretically, financially, it makes a lot more sense if you don't have one of the elite quarterbacks to just keep cycling rookie contracts because of how expensive they are. Mm-hmm. Special teams just aren't worth enough to pay them. So, like, if you're just cycling 7th round rookie contracts over and over at these positions, it honestly, like, how much does it really hurt a team?
Yeah. This is true.
Our Super Bowl winners have a punter who is a UDFA. So I am all for drafting yourself a punter or a fullback or something in the 7th round as a throwaway pick every few years. Mm-hmm. And that is my opinion of the day.
Okay. Racing. There was a NASCAR race that went on.
Yeah, there was. It wasn't bad, but there wasn't a ton worth talking about for it. There is something NASCAR related though that I would love to use my segment to talk about.
All right, let's hear it. Let's go. Let's hear it.
So a few weeks ago, this needs some background. So NASCAR, before last season started, much like with F1, it had been planned, but it got delayed. They moved to what F1 calls new regs. NASCAR, we just call it a new car, right? A new rule set for a car, new body type, all of that. Mm-hmm. And in this case, the NASCAR Next Gen, as it's called, or I think people are starting to come around to just calling it a Gen 7 because it's the now gen, not the next gen. Anyway, it's much like most other racing series except F1. They finally went to a mostly single supplier car where it levels the playing field a bit. Obviously, the teams with more money can still put more into the smaller areas where you can improve the car. The teams with more money will have better running engines, all of that. But the body itself provides less of an advantage, so it narrows the field a little bit more. Mm-hmm. 2 different teams. One, Hendrick Motorsports, probably the fan favorite. You know, they have Chase Elliott, who's the most popular driver, Kyle Larson, who's incredibly popular. They're a Chevy team, which always helps. Just right now, probably the most popular team in the sport. Mm-hmm. Like, all of their cars were penalized for modifying a single supplier part. So a part that's, you know, comes from someone that NASCAR has a contract with that every team receives and nobody's allowed to modify. They got a penalty for that across like all of their teams. Mm-hmm. And then one team for another smaller team at Colleague Racing got the same penalty for doing the same thing to the same part. Mm-hmm. Initially, both of these, like everyone involved, all got a huge penalty objectively, but also the correct penalty for the offense, which was 100 both owner and driver points taken away, which is a lot of points. Monetary fines, crew chief suspensions, you know, it's a big penalty and deservedly so. But naturally, when you get a big penalty, anyone who gets a big penalty is going to appeal it to try to see if you can at least get it reduced. And you see that in every sport. And the appeals panel, I think it's worth mentioning in NASCAR's credit, the appeals panel is an independent third-party panel that decides who's right between the teams in NASCAR, right? It's not like NASCAR is responding to the appeals to their penalty.
Yep.
But
unlike
the
F1,
appeals panel...
fucking FIA prick. Anyway. Continue.
Yeah, no, actually, though. But the appeals panel for Hendrick decided their verdict was basically, yes, you broke this rule, but we've decided not to penalize you for it, even though you broke every part of the rule you were penalized for breaking. And so they gave back the points. They kept like the fine, but they undid every meaningful part of the penalty. So they essentially got away with it scot-free. Colleague Racing, the smaller team, as it was announced today, same exact thing. They did the same exact thing to their car.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't so lucky. Their appeal upheld the penalties. I think it might have reduced them from 100 to like 75 points. But it's essentially the same penalty that they were initially given. While Hendrick, boom, gone, scot-free. They did the same shit. Colleague did less than Hendrick did. I understand that it's two, they're completely separate people on the appeals panels because they're made like fresh for every time. It's not like the same set appeals panel for every case.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to talk about like NASCAR, there's often talks about like favoritism towards these more popular teams, these more popular drivers, you know. Mm-hmm. Like if Chase Elliott's leading a race, they're less likely to throw a caution and make him lose the lead. But let's say he's in second and challenging, maybe it's more likely that they'd call like a debris caution or something like that. All right, that's talked about a lot. But here, even though I want to stress again that this isn't NASCAR organizationally that's doing this, but this is clearly like, how does this happen? How is this fair?
It's not.
Yeah, it is not at all. And that's tough. And teams they all have a huge issue with the verdict because the Hendrick verdict actually came out first, which makes the Colleague verdict even more frustrating. It's like, oh, these guys already got off scot-free, but you're keeping our penalty. Mm-hmm. But the thing with letting Hendrick get off scot-free is that's telling these rich teams, you know, the rich, the successful, the bigger teams, your Hendrick Motorsports, your Joe Gibbs Racing, that they can get away with it. Mm-hmm. That all they're going to have is a monetary fine and a suspension to someone that doesn't meaningfully contribute to that car winning a race. Mm-hmm. And so that defeats the whole purpose of this car. Now that it's just a fine, right? That you can, you know, rely on this precedent that you don't get points taken away for doing this. What's stopping you from pushing the limits on how much you can modify these parts that are supposed to be the same for everyone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's been an interesting week for that. I don't know what you think on that.
I mean, it's basically like the FIA with Red Bull. I'm kidding. Well, kind of, but not really. That's a bit fucked. No. It just seems like, you know. I mean, there's an issue with the FIA with the race that happened that I'll talk about, but that's tough.
But I don't like, and NASCAR's pissed because of course it makes them look bad, and they're not the appeals panel. Like everyone involved is pissed, or just everyone in the sport, I mean, is pissed about it.
Yeah.
Like, how does this happen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
NASCAR has to step in and like.
Well, the problem is they can't.
Why?
Them stepping in was giving the penalty. It's like in the NFL, how when you appeal a suspension, it goes in front of the like impartial court. Mm-hmm. So like you remember earlier Deshaun Watson, exactly. How he was suspended indefinitely, I think. And then it was like, you know, the NFLPA appealed that and they went in front of the independent court and they decided, you know, X amount of games.
Technically, that was the first time they did that, though. I'm pretty sure. Because before it was Roger Goodell that got to...
Well, I don't think the NFLPA has huge issues with punishment, because usually it's very well defined beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely a thing in motorsports. I mean, everyone in motorsports is going to appeal penalties and suspensions. It's a thing in baseball where if you get suspended, a lot of times you're going to appeal it to try to reduce the penalty or to at least delay when you serve it. Mm-hmm. But NASCAR, as part of their contract with the teams and with the drivers, if they hand down a penalty and they appeal, NASCAR cannot be that like overarching be all end all. It's true of other sports and it's true of them that if it gets appealed, it goes to this independent board that has the power to override NASCAR.
Yeah.
And this independent board, simply put, fucked up.
So is the person that I don't know, what is the racing company called?
Which one?
The one that got hit with the penalties, though.
Colleague?
Colleague? Is that what?
Yeah, Colleague Racing.
Okay, so could Colleague put a second appeal in being like, hey, you gave this team scot-free, but no, you're not allowed to like.
Well, this is like the appeal.
No, I know, but could they appeal the like?
I don't think so. No,
because I know like, well, there is technically reasonable cause. The same penalty, the same thing, but one team got off scot-free, the other one didn't. So I feel like you should be able to appeal.
You would think so, especially because the Hendrick decision was made first. So they had this precedent set before this case. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, both teams did break the letter of the law. Mm-hmm. Not only did they break it, they very much intentionally broke it. Mm-hmm. Like, as it is written, and both cases said in their finding that, yes, this was a textbook break of this rule. Mm-hmm. And one was like, well, we're just going to not take away points anyway. And one was like, oh, well, given the precedent, we'll be a little bit lighter and we'll only take away 75 instead of 100, but you still broke the rule. And so the penalty itself is still accurate, regardless of what the other appeal said. Like, I think it would be almost worse if both appeals said, yes, you broke all these rules, but you're just not going to get punished for it. Mm-hmm. But the fact that one appeal did is awful enough. Like, there is no, good situation to come out of that.
Yeah, so, like, I have a question then. Do you think for any penalty, there should be, like, a panel for certain penalties?
What do you mean?
So, like, tampering with this, there's this panel. Doing this, there's this panel. So it's like, so the precedent that's already set has to be set?
So the problem is, I think the best way to articulate it would be to compare it to like baseball. Mm-hmm. Let's say a Yankees pitcher is appealing, and a lot of the guys that are part of the organization that makes the panels, because the panels are made up of people that have been in the sport in some way. Yeah. And let's say that, your panel for getting suspended for hitting an umpire, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's a Yankees pitcher that did it. And that preset panel is made up of 2 Yankees guys. Mm-hmm. That's not going to work. But for the 29 other teams in baseball, that panel would work. The problem with NASCAR, too, is there's so many different ways to have connections to a case going on, because drivers move teams, teams move around. You may have connections other ways that you wouldn't be able to have one just set it and forget it panel for different things.
So then I have another question. Should the panels be people that don't have connections with teams but know about the sport?
I think it would be hard to do that. I think that's probably how it should happen. Mm-hmm. I would almost rather have it be a more lawsuit-like, where you're trying to convince people that don't know about it with a judge that does, sort of thing. But it's hard to find a way to really fix that.
Yeah. Is there like a collective bargaining agreement like there is in like baseball, football, basketball, or no? Is it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
One exists. Like there is an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go so far as to call it a collective bargaining agreement because, as I'm sure you can imagine by the demographics and background of NASCAR, union type language isn't looked on too favorably.
Okay.
So there exists like a group of drivers and a group of teams, except neither of them call themselves, a union, and they don't have super formal union stuff because, unions are a scary word for some people.
Yeah. Okay. But there is do they come together and agree on something? Like the rules and stuff, or no?
Yes and no. NASCAR generally has pretty absolute power on a lot of the rules, although they get feedback. There are set agreements on revenue sharing and on other parts of rules, but it's not quite as in depth as the NFL CBA.
So there's not one on the panel.
No. I mean, there's a set process for the panel, and that goes above NASCAR, but that's not necessarily part of some CBA negotiations.
Got it. So I have a proposal. Have me do the fucking panel. I know nothing about NASCAR. I don't give a damn about any of the teams or the drivers. At least not right now. I'm not biased at all. So let me be the panel and let me decide. Please.
Who was that guy that Jack said he liked? Was it was it Ross Chastain? Oh, he's coming up for an appeal today? Oh no, he's good. Take away the penalty.
Yes. Or Kimmy. Kimmy, dude. Oh fuck, I am biased.
Kimmy would ever catch a penalty.
I don't think he would either. I don't think.
See, that's the thing though. You can't be involved in the sport and not be biased in some way.
Well, okay, technically, I'm not biased towards his NASCAR self. I'm biased towards his F1 self. That's what I'm biased.
If he caught a penalty, would you be more or less likely to go easier on him in a punishment than you would some driver that you've never heard of before?
So
would you? Oh, actually, no. I need to phrase that better. Would you be more or less likely to understand his side and his explanation for how such a penalty happened? How it was...
I'd be in the middle, because here's the thing. If I watched Formula 1 when he was racing, I would have more of a bias. But because I only can watch highlights of him, it's about equal. I'm in the middle still. But I like him as a racer, but I do not give a fuck if, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing with this is there's a long history in NASCAR and in racing in general of cheating, because if you're not cheating, are you really trying?
Red Bull! Sorry.
Ow.
Sorry.
So there's always an excuse. In this case, it was that, NASCAR was having supply chain issues with these, and the ones that they were given didn't fit quite right, so they only modified them to make them fit the car. That was their story.
Yep.
Obviously, as it turns out in both cases, it was proven that, no, you modified them beyond that, and this was meant to give you a performance advantage. But that was their story. And there was a similar penalty last year of someone saying, hey, we didn't get enough of these parts in time, so we had to fix an old one, and we must have accidentally, changed it in this way.
Okay.
And they got penalized to hell for it. That didn't get overturned. But that's the excuse. So if you're sitting there and a guy that you feel a lot of sympathy towards, maybe you've grown up admiring, maybe you've worked with, maybe you've driven for that team, something like that, they come up and they're saying, hey, look, man to man, we weren't trying to pull one over. We had no choice. We need to put a race car out on that track. We had this part that we were given and it didn't fit. We had to make it fit our car. We can't just go out there without this part. NASCAR wasn't going to give us another one of these parts in time. So what else are we going to do? If you're hearing that from someone that you in some way already trust, of course you're going to say, oh yeah, they broke the rule, but what choice did they have? Why should they get penalized for it? It's NASCAR's fault. If you're hearing that from someone that your attitude is, hey, he got penalized for this, I know nothing about him, but NASCAR drivers, they sure do like to try to get an advantage wherever they can get it. Okay, maybe you look at it a little more critically.
Okay. Me with Hamilton and Mercedes. Scot free. You can use unlimited billions. Okay. Sorry.
Unlimited wind testing.
Unlimited fucking everything. Yo, Turtle, get your fucking shit together.
Anyway, tell me about the Australian Grand Prix.
All right, so
bonus
I don't know
points if you do it upside down.
What is it? What? Oh, I get the joke. I can't do it. I can't read upside down. So I can't.
Damn, disappointing. Anyway,
I can do this.
No, please don't.
So, Jack, have you heard about what happened at the Australian Grand Prix?
I've heard enough.
Cool. So, I'm going to sum it up with a couple of sentences. By couple, I mean a decent paragraph. There were 8 total DNFs, 3 red flags, 2 safety cars, and a virtual safety car. Leclerc DNF'd first lap. A couple of people pitted because of the safety car number 1. And then Albon lost the back of his car and crashed into a wall on lap 7, causing red flag number 1. Now, they did... The people... They pretty much fucked over the people who pitted. On lap 18, Georg Russell DNF'd because his car caught on fire. And the race was pretty chill until lap 53, where Magnussen went wide and crashed his rear tire into the wall. Safety car originally came out, but then the second red flag was called because of the debris on the track. Got that? Understood, Jack?
Yes.
Here's where it gets spicy. On the second to last lap, 3 collisions happened. Then the second red flag was called. Then the third red flag was called. So the first collision was Spanish on Spanish violence, where Carlos Sainz crashed into and spun around Fernando Alonso. Which I'll get a little bit more into that in a bit, but let's just get through the briefing. Then there was French on French violence, where Gasly hit Esteban Ocon, causing both a DNF. And at the back of the grid, at the very back, because they were like last place and second to last, Logan Sargent, the American, hit the rear of Nick DeVries, and both of them also DNF'd. That caused another red flag. The fourth one. Oh, there were 4. No. Yeah. No, that was 3. Sorry. That was the third one. And then the race ended with a safety car. So, I just want to get into a little bit about Carlos Sainz. He hit Fernando Alonso, causing him to spin. The lap that this all happened at, there were 3 crashes. It wasn't counted. Like, they redid the lap, and it ended on the safety car. But, even though the lap didn't count, and Sargent and Gasly both didn't get penalties, like, at all. No points on their thing, no nothing. But Sainz got a 5-second penalty, which caused him to drop from, like, 5th or 4th out of the top 10 and into last. And there is a clip of him crying on the radio because it makes sense why they gave it to him, but it also doesn't, because the lap didn't fucking count. So why are you giving a penalty for a lap that didn't fucking count? And you didn't penalize the other 2 people that caused crashes. And the crashes the other people caused were arguably worse.
So if you want my
I would like your former F1 opinion.
Generally, I think that unless it's really severe, like life-endangering severe, they would consider DNFing a suitable penalty, right? Because if it happens within this race, it's contained within that race. They could do like a place penalty, but at some point, all of these people who DNF'd are outside of the points, right?
That's true.
So you're setting a weird precedent if you punish them any more than them already finishing the race outside the points. For Sainz, that's just I think the Sainz's penalty is kind of the expectation I think that the weird part is them not penalizing the others for causing collisions, but that's because they kind of punished themselves.
So I do have to say, you do get, like, they have a license, right?
Yeah, I know how the points work.
And so they get points if they, like, cause really bad incidents or whatever the fuck what it is.
They just get points for being penalized.
Yes. Technically, Gasly shouldn't be racing next race because that was his, like, the penalty that they would have given him would have put him over the threshold.
The FIA doesn't look at it like that. They just look at it in the context of that race, and then that point system is set up to add up however it adds up.
It's stupid.
Gasly was sure, but what do you want them to do? Break any precedent and any written rules they have? Which, sure, maybe the FIA does that from time to time, but
2021 Abu Dhabi.
It is set up that this is like how this is supposed to happen, and I get how it looks unfair, but any way you slice it, it's unfair to someone.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I think,
and also
DNFing. Sorry, yeah.
I didn't mention it, but the idea that the lap didn't count, meaning anything for an unsafe driving kind of penalty, is just not. That's just not an idea that the FIA believes in.
Okay.
The FIA will penalize you for doing dangerous things on pit road,
like driving too fucking fast. But what I just have an issue with is they penalize Sainz 5 seconds. I get that. I get why they did that, right? I understand. But they didn't put the points on Gasly's license, which doesn't make any sense. Like, I get he DNF'd, but normally they do that after the race, and they never did it. So I'm just confused by that.
The points after the race aren't actually after the race. They are attached to the penalty that's given.
Okay.
The points, like, different penalties have a different set amount of points. Like, I think, was it Yuki Tsunoda last year? I think it was last year. Maybe it was the year before. But he, missed the pit road entrance a handful of times and just accidentally caught a bunch of those points. For things that, objectively are not at all the same as causing huge collisions. Right, like you just slightly missed a line with no one else around. Yeah. But it's not like they sat there after the race and were like, wow, Yuki in the middle of this race just caused this super dangerous event where he was completely by himself. They handed him a penalty, and that is the natural, like, written in the rule way to hand someone a penalty. That after the race, it just also counts as that whole thing with, as you were talking about, the points and the license, and once you get so many, you are done for the time being.
Yeah. I don't know. I understand why they gave Carlos Sainz a penalty, but I just feel like Gasly shouldn't have gone, like, scot-free. Though I do like Gasly. I do like him, but it does make sense. But final standings after Aussie Grand Prix. These are just like the stats from, like, the result of the Grand Prix. So Max obviously finished in first because his car is a fucking lightning bolt. Lewis finished second, first podium in a while, I think. Right? Yeah. First podium in a while. First podium this year, at least. So pretty cool. Fernando Alonso gets his third race in a row at third. Lance Stroll in fourth. Sergio Perez moved all the way up from, I believe, 20th to 5th. I believe he was in 20th before the race. I'm not fully sure. Lando Norris got points in the fucking shitbox of a car he has. Congratulations. I love your streams. Nico Hulkenberg got 7th. Oscar Piastri got his...
Whoa. Yeah. We're in Australia. Say it right.
What?
Nico Hulkenberg.
Oh, no. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Nico is that how you do it?
No, that's the way that Ricardo always says it.
And then he's like, "Yo, go show him this clip." Did you see the video? He says it, and then he's like, "Yo, show him the fucking clip." Like,
because he knows he hates it.
Yeah. Oscar Piastri got first points in his career. Congratulations to you. Somehow McLaren, it took 8 fucking DNFs, 3 red flags, 2 safety cars, and a virtual safety car to get fucking McLaren some points. Not just points, 2 fucking points. 2 people in points. How do you say this? Zhao?
Guan Yu Zhou or Zhou Guan Yu, however you want to say it.
Zhou Guan Yu. 9th. Yuki, 5-2 Short King got 10th. Valtteri Bottas got 11th, and then Carlos Sainz got 12th, with Sargent, De Vries, Gasly, Ocon, Russell, Magnussen, Albon, and Leclerc all DNFing. That is my F1 update.
Beautiful.
Do you have a baseball?
I don't have a lot to say for baseball. All I have to add is that Pittsburgh Pirates, your Pittsburgh Pirates, my Pittsburgh Pirates, our Pittsburgh Pirates, swept the Boston Red Sox in Boston.
Hold up. By swept,
I mean won 3 out of 3 games in Fenway Park.
Okay, so what the fuck is going on? I swear they were shit.
Oh, they are. But it's also early in the season, and keep in mind that this is baseball. It's not like I think the Pirates were 5-1 against the Dodgers, who won well over 100 games last year.
They were 5-1?
Yeah. That sort of thing happens. If you only play 6 games against a team, weird stuff's bound to happen.
Guys, the Pirates are second in the division.
Yep.
Playoff bound.
Now here's the funny part. Who's in first?
The Brewers.
Ah, tough. I forgot that they are actually winning games. For a while, because I think yesterday or the day before, it was the Reds tied for first place. Or they own the tiebreaker. And the Reds and Pirates are both very shit.
Joey Votto?
He's still coming back from injury.
Fuck.
He's not even with the team. He's in the minors rehabbing right now.
Bro. So the Pirates lost to the Reds twice.
Yes. They lost the first series to the Reds. And then they swept the Red Sox. Your point?
No, I'm just saying.
The Astros right now are 3-4. That's just early season baseball.
Yes, keep it up, Astros. Be shit.
For real.
Please, love. Now the Angels 4-2. They got beat by 9 by the Mariners.
Well, they also just beat the Mariners today. Do you want the real answer as to why they're 4-2?
Yes.
They get to play the Athletics.
Oh god, they beat them 13 to fucking hell. Oh my god, that's just murder.
Actually lost on opening day to them.
They did 2-1, and they came back and
blew
beat them by 12
twice
and by 6. The Angels also won the series against
the Mariners. Yeah. Well, they're 4-2. They went 2-1 in both series.
Interesting.
But anyway, I just felt like everyone needed to know that the Pirates not only won a series, but swept a series against the Red Sox. And the Red Sox aren't very good, but they're sure better than the Pirates.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why are the Phillies shit?
The Phillies?
Yeah.
So in the first series against the Rangers, who, keep in mind, the Rangers are supposed to be pretty good. They have a crazy amount of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Really good lineup, really good pitching, supposedly, on paper. Still got to put it together, but still. The Phillies pitching imploded against the Rangers, and they got swept. They won one game against the Yankees, who are the odds-on favorites for the World Series. I think last I saw. Or they're at least up there with your Braves, Astros, Dodgers of the world. So it's kind of just bad luck. It'll even out. But I also would like to remind you that the Phillies are a team built for the playoffs, but not a 162 game regular season. They won like 80 something games last year and barely made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like until right up towards the playoffs, it was looking like they wouldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they added Trey Turner, but it's, worth remembering that this Phillies team was not great in the regular season. They don't have a ton of depth to win consistently for 162 games. They rely a lot on their big names. And I believe Harper is still recovering.
Got it.
Which is, not exactly a small loss.
So the Astros are at plus 650. The Braves are at plus 700 along with the Dodgers, and the Yankees are plus 850.
It was the thing I had to put the Yankees at first was some other model, not the betting odds, and I mixed up the two. That's why I quickly was like, yeah, but they're in the tier with the Astros, Braves, and Dodgers.
They are the second best odds to win the league, the American League.
Well, yeah, to the Astros.
And they have the best odds to win the division.
Well, yeah.
Cool.
If the Astros could stay 3 and 4, I would like that.
Can they just fuck off? Sell the team?
For real though.
Yes, man.
All right.
Next, basketball. I don't watch basketball to the playoffs, but I do have an update because I didn't give one last week. So my Warriors did win yesterday. And then I'm pretty sure we won versus the Spurs on March 31st. Actually, let me just go to the fucking team. Hold up. So we won. We beat the Thunder. We lost to the Nuggets. And when was the damn? Where was it? I'm trying to. There was one. Never mind. But yeah. We're the Warriors are 5th in the West with 2 games left. The Lakers are fighting for play-in along with the Pelicans, the Timberwolves, and the Thunder. I don't get how play-in works, but Bucks are leading the Eastern Conference. 2nd is Celtics, 3rd is Sixers, 4th is Cavs, 5th is Knicks, and they all clinched a playoff spot. And the Raptors and the Bulls both clinched play-in positions on the East, with the Hawks, the Heat, and the Nets fighting for play-in, and I believe the final. Yeah. And the final playoff spot clinched. And then the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, and the Kings have all clinched the. That doesn't make any sense. It says they clinched the division. They clinched the playoffs along with the Suns. The Warriors, if they win the next 2, I don't know. If they win the next 2, they are playing the Suns. I would like to see the Warriors play the Grizzlies. Please win and play the Grizzlies. That is my update for baseball. The Rockets and Spurs are shit. And so are the Pistons and Hornets. Let's go to what is next. Soccer. Premier League, guys. Arsenal is still top of the league with I don't know how many games left. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 games left. We're top of the division. They're top of the league. We're 8 points ahead. Looking good. Um, Man City second. I don't think any. Wait, no, something has changed. Newcastle has jumped Man United, so Newcastle are third. Man United are fourth. Tottenham's five, and then Southampton, Leicester, and Bournemouth are all um relegation right now with Nottingham. Okay. So Bournemouth, Nottingham, Everton, and West Ham are all tied in points. Wolves, Leeds, Bristol Palace are all fighting for relegation. I'm hoping it's not Leeds because I do the 49ers owners or the 49ers media group, whatever the fuck they call it, the owners group is like part owner in Leeds, so I kind of support them. I support Arsenal, but kind of Leeds. Chelsea is absolutely in the fucking bin. They don't know how to score for shit, and I love to see it. They're 11th, and I love seeing them not score because they can go fuck themselves, and they're not the biggest team in London. That goes to Arsenal, and you can argue Tottenham because Chelsea's in the fucking bin. How do you have so many good fucking players and are still so shit? How? In other news, Messi got offered $400 million a year to play in Saudi. And he's probably going to reject it and play for Barca again. There are reports that he wants to return, and Barcelona's owner, I forget his name, wants to bring Messi back. That team is nasty with Messi. So, I think Barca obviously is still leading La Liga. Obviously. I mean, Real Madrid is so far behind in the bid. And I don't think the relegation has changed. Maybe Espanyol possibly might have popped into the relegation zone, but I don't remember what last week was. Yeah, I don't really care about the other leagues. Actually, let's go Liga. Screw it. League, Uber Eats. Many people, because it's the 5th best league in Europe, many people call it the Farmers League. It's still so much better than the fucking Saudi League. So Ronaldo can suck it. PSG is in first. They've lost their last two. And they might not win the fucking league. So, I don't know what's happened. They lost 2-0 to Rennes, who, to be fair, is 6th and is on the brink of Europa Conference League qualifiers. And then I believe they lost to fucking Lyon. Yeah. And Lyon are like a 9th. So. And they got knocked out of the Champions League March 8th. But. Yeah. And then Bundesliga. We'll go over them. Okay. Bundesliga. The Bunds. Bayern is retaken first place. Dortmund is second. Union Berlin is third. Freiburg is 4th. Leipzig is 5th. Frankfurt is 6th. And I believe that Freiburg beat Bayern. Yes, they kicked them out of the DFB Pokal. No clue what the fuck that is. But they kicked them out of it in the quarterfinals. They also play them on Saturday. So, we'll see. And then Serie A is the last one. Serie A. I think Napoli is still cruising. Yeah. I mean, they lost their most recent game to Milan 4-0. But Milan isn't really a threat, and neither is Lazio or Inter. No one's a threat. There are 71 points in 28 games. I think Barca's close to that as well. Domination. So, there you go. That is the soccer recap. If you have a bit of time, we can play a game.
Yeah. What game?
It's called You Have One Word to Describe.
Okay.
Would you like to play?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
All right, let me add a screen capture. That source, and then which one's this? Actually, let me do this. Boom, boom. All right, so it's that one. So we're gonna do that. What? Oh, I know why. Boom. Cool. We got it there, and now we just share the screen. All right, here we go. It is called You Have One Word to Describe. This is a game where I give you a sports team, sports league, possibly. I don't remember what's in here. There might be some athletes, and there is some national teams as well. You might not know what the fuck they are. There are some soccer things in here. You might not know who the fuck they are. That's cool. Just give me the first. If you see the logo and think of flowers, just fucking say that. I don't know. Got it? Cool. Sound good?
Sounds fantastic.
All right, number 1.
90s.
Good. Number 2.
Bang.
Yes. What I was thinking of.
And these are gimmies. Unlucky.
Very.
Farmers League. I know that's 2 words, but
That's fine. Yes, Farmers League. This is true. Fucking Saudi.
horny.
What did you just say?
I said horny. What? I mean, you know Tiger Woods' personal history, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I say more than one word?
Yes.
Actually African.
Facts, bro. Fucking facts. I would have just said chicken or rooster, whatever the fuck is on their logo.
Respect.
I would have said S.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything else about him.
You could have said go. I would have allowed it, even though I think Lewis is better. But Michael Jordan.
Baseball.
That's the first. There's no way.
It's not the first thing, but it's the best thing.
All right.
Goat again. I mean, seems like a series of goats here. All one word in the bin.
Hyphenated.
Yeah.
I would have put tractor.
Yeah, that's fair. That's valid.
I think that's it. That is it. Damn. Congratulations. Thanks for playing.
I think that I was creative. Give myself that.
You were creative. This is true.
Not sure if there's much else good to say about some of those answers, but
no, I would have put chicken for
horny
for the French national soccer team. I just saw the chicken. It was like, or instead of rooster, I don't fucking know. It's something. It's funny. All right. Well, that is the podcast.
Woo.
Do we have any final thoughts, Jack?
NFL drafts in 3 weeks.
Ooh. Are you looking into players?
A little bit.
We'll have you.
Not much past the first few rounds for time reasons, because I have been dying with school. But enough that I know who I will be happy when they draft and who I will react the same way I did on draft night in 2019. Daniel.
Daniel
Doan. Yeah.
I say you pick Will Levis.
I will
Zach
tell you
Wilson
this, that
2.0.
I have eyewitnesses that can confirm that I was crying after that pick was announced.
Why?
Because everyone in like football media hated him.
Did you not
Like,
do
people
your
were-
own research?
No.
Oh, now you do that because
A little bit.
dude, we don't want to first. I don't give a damn who we pick.
Because right after that pick, I saw some like Giants accounts that were super high on him pre-draft were something like doing victory laps and posting a lot of breakdowns. And I was like, hey, this guy actually doesn't suck. Maybe I shouldn't have been sobbing on draft night.
Bro, what's it? 5 points was solving on draft night too when you guys picked Daniel Jones.
Yeah, well,
I thought that was funny.
being fair. But he's also like, there to do reaction stuff.
That's true. I did. I was watching that stream. We will do some draft content when it gets closer.
Ooh. In the meantime, thoughts on bit of a final thought. Thoughts on the Niners somehow getting a veteran quarterback by some miracle?
So, I have thoughts. It's just conflicted. On one hand, I would love Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers because they are good football players. But on the other hand, I kind of want a first round pick. And we'd probably be trading a first round pick. Another note. If we do get Aaron Rodgers, he's playing for like a year and then dipping. So, if he does end up, if the Jets fall through. For Kirk, he's a better Jimmy G, but I like Jimmy G, so I don't give a damn. I'll be happy though. We finally get a veteran quarterback who can do a lot of shit, so I wouldn't personally be mad, but I don't know.
All right. And for my final thought, Patriots are somehow drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, what the fuck is with them shopping Mac? I told y'all he was ass from the goddamn start, and y'all motherfuckers didn't believe me. They're shopping his ass already.
He wasn't ass. Bill was frustrated on a personal level. Same reason that their rookie punter was like good and Jack Jones was good. And I think the punter has since been released and Jack Jones was like suspended. Belichick is like ridiculously strict, and Mac Jones was pretty openly not a fan of the offensive coordinator situation this year. And was kind of pissed about it. And Belichick doesn't like it when players have opinions and feelings. It's not that Mac isn't good.
Does Bill not realize that he had fucking Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator?
No, Bill doesn't like to admit when he's wrong. Like, genuinely, it's that he, after that, like, has soured on Mac on a personal level and thinks that he can get close enough with Zappy.
I have a question. What if the Niners went for fucking Mac?
Dude, that would perfect fit. Genuinely.
Fuck, I don't want it though. He doesn't have a high ceiling. I want fucking
Trey,
man. Well,
in the Niners offense, there is a high ceiling is a myth.
Josh Johnson has a high ceiling. No, he doesn't.
Matt Stafford and Jared Goff are identical in McVay's offense.
Yeah.
And we know that Stafford can do a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, Mac Jones is perfectly built. It's not like they're going to have him being Mahomes. That offense is not designed for a Mahomes to play the way that Mahomes has in Kansas City or the way Josh Allen has in Buffalo.
Mm.
That offense is designed for someone like Mac Jones to be literally perfect in it, especially because Mac Jones is really athletic.
I think it'd be really funny if we got him just because May would.
I think it would be hilarious.
He would just
2 first-round picks from the same draft, and you're starting a Mr. Irrelevant from later.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, you've got 2 number 3 overall picks there already. Add Mac Jones to that room. You've got 4 quarterbacks in the mix, and somehow Brock Purdy is the...
Yeah. Bro, if you had Aaron Rodgers, you have what? The 30-something? 20-something?
He was in the early 20s. I forget. Obviously, it was a long time ago.
Or you can add Kirk Cousins, who is like... I don't remember.
4th rounder?
4th? Was he 4? Was he really? Was he really a 4th rounder? Are we?
He was the same draft as RG3.
Oh, fuck. Yes, you're right. Because you both got drafted by... 4th rounder. Yeah, pick 102. I say you go for Kirk, because then you'll have the 2 3s of 4th and mystery relevant. I think that'd just be funny as fuck.
Speaking of funny as fuck.
Fuck the Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. There we go.
Fuck the Cowboys. Jack, say bye.